Warm welcome to this special episode of ETGovernment's Digital India Leadership Series. My name is Anoop Verma. Today, our guest for this special episode is Dr. Satya Prakash Dash. He is the former head of strategy at Biotechnology Industry Research Assistance Council, Government of India, a Government of India organization. Currently, he is serving as the senior advisor to Blockchain for Impact (BFI). The topic of today's conversation with Dr. Dash is the use of emerging technologies for making healthcare services affordable, efficient, and inclusive. Welcome, Dr. Dash.
Namaskar, Anoopji. Well, thank you for having me here.
So, what are the technologies that are being used for driving R&D into the new and more efficient types of healing systems in the healthcare space? And how do you see the role of emerging technologies in biomedical research and innovation?
So let me step back and just mention that biomedical, the word itself, is actually a confluence of many technologies: biology, engineering, chemistry, even physics. So it is a multidisciplinary science and technology where everything comes together. So the complexity of that is very high, as you can imagine. What has happened in the last 2 decades is that we are now developing new technologies in diagnostics, using, say, for example, CRISPR-Cas. We are developing new technologies in cancer. Imaging technologies are growing very fast. New material science is helping, devices, vaccine technology, all of that are really advancing in a very rapid way. And so you can also think about artificial intelligence and machine learning, trying to impact from drug discovery to hospital systems management, to even delivery of drugs to remote areas. So, as you can see, the stretch of biomedical technology and its impact on healthcare is really expansive, and it has already started impacting our lives. It is only going to grow more. And what the government of India is doing is remarkable efforts in the last 10 years to really grow this sector from what it is now. Currently, only the biomedical is currently around 11, $12 billion to close to $30 billion by 2030. Now, biomedical again sits within biotechnology, for example. The biotechnology sector in India is close to $150 billion. So, in that context, as you can see, first, this is the interdisciplinary science. Really, a lot of different things come together, and it's complex, but it is building and impacting healthcare in all forms, from drug discovery to delivery and accessibility.
Okay. Now, India is not known for its R&D capabilities. We are not very good at that. So, how does the state of R&D, research and innovation in India compare with countries like USA, China, and others in the healthcare space?
So this is an interesting question. Of our historically, people will tell you that India invests close to 0.6%, 0.64% of its R&D.
I think it's normally it should be 2% or 3%.
Yes, so around 2 to 3%. But that is, we are a growing country. We have an amazing space research program that also impacts healthcare, telemedicine, and all of that. But if you look at the total, what is happening in the last 10 years, actually the gross expenditure on R&D, what we call a GERD, has doubled in the last 10 years. So the other element that impacts India and as a developing country is the contribution of R&D from the private sector is close to 35, 36%, as against in developed countries close to 70%, 75%. So how do you boost that is going to be very important. Now, if I pause and then look back at the last 15 years, 10 years, there has been significant investments by the government of India, starting from creating new research institutions, early stage, um, funding, to a lot of funding for startups and industry through organizations like BIRAC or Nidhi Prayas from DST, BIRAC by DBT, Ministry of Electronics is also into it. So all of them have started to really fund R&D for translation of products to commercialization to be used in India. And if you see what is happening is the COVID situation showed us that India has to build its own capabilities in biomedical sector. And we saw that how all stakeholders came together to build vaccines, not only vaccines, but also other forms in terms of healthcare delivery during the time of turbulence. Now, the lessons that we learn during the COVID time has also to be implemented, right? So somehow we have to boost R&D in the biomedical sector, and we have now the last 10 years we have come to a platform now where uh, the next stage is to leapfrog or pole vault, right? There was minimal, say 20, 30, 40 years back, not much was happening. But now we have come to a stage where leveraging where we are now, we can leapfrog to the next stage.
No, what are the key challenges that healthcare in India faces, and how can the organizations like Blockchain for Impact help in addressing these challenges? And what is basically the work that for Impact is doing?
Right. Again, fascinating question. Challenges for a country of size of India, diversity of India. We are 1.4 billion people. Every kind of geographical, uh, things are there, starting from forest to mountains to sea, coastal districts. And so 1.4 billion people will face healthcare challenges. So we have a lot of healthcare challenges, a lot of public health challenges. Unfortunately, we are the diabetes capital of the world. Unfortunately, also, we are perhaps one of the biggest centers for TB. So the highest of TB incidences happens in India. Almost quarter of TB each year that is detected is in India. So you can see on one side it is chronic conditions like diabetes, cancer. There's a lot of growing incidences of those. On the other side is infectious diseases like TB. So, and plus the kind of country we are, so humongous, big. How do we deliver public health systems? How do we build new drugs? How do we build diagnostics, new diagnostics? How do we take it to people, to the doorstep of people? These are the three challenges, right? And the public health system is growing. Of course, government has done a lot. There is Ayushman Bharat program that was launched. But if I look step back again and I see we have we have to build affordable diagnostics and drugs which are accessible and which are of best quality, excellent quality. Can that be done in India? The answer is yes. How do you do it is where, of course, government plays a big role, industry plays a big role. Nonprofits like Blockchain for Impact play a humongous role in that too. Now, what we do, thanks to the generosity and the benefaction of our founder, Sandeep Nailwal, Blockchain for Impact is actually creating a platform called Biome, where we are pulling together research institutions, incubators, and medical colleges to focus on translational biomedical research and innovation. And this is a unique platform being developed in India. Already our footprint is across India, around 15 institutions, incubators, and including medical colleges are there. And as you can see, Anupji, this is a unique platform because previously we haven't brought all these three components of R&D, of biomedical R&D in any country, in our country, to one platform. And this is what BFI is currently doing. So by doing that, what you're doing is we're supporting translation research, long range research, but with the component of translation, which I mean there has to be commercialized in the end, so that the fruits of these research comes to society. And we support a lot of professors, faculty in many of these institutions like IITs, Indian Institute of Science, BITS Pilani, CDRI Lucknow, CCMB Hyderabad, IIT Bombay, for example. And so this is all happening. The other is trying to really put energy into already our existing incubation system, and trying to work with innovators in these incubators. So whether it is Venture Center in Pune or C Camp in Bangalore or in IIT Kanpur incubator or Atal Innovation, AIC, CCMP, all these incubators are also part of this group. And as I mentioned, we are also bringing in medical colleges, medical INIs, AIMS Delhi is a partner. So this is what our vision is, that can we complement what is happening in India? Can we be very targeted in terms of going and injecting support where it is needed? And the remarkable team, both our founder and our CEO, Dr. Gaurav Singh, and the team has already built 10, 15 partnerships across India. And this is only going to grow.
No, healthcare is mainly driven by private partnerships in India, and basically in most democracies and other countries also. As far as innovation in healthcare delivery systems is concerned, there is, I think, less amount of private sector participation. Much of it is being driven by the government. So should there be more initiatives from the government, some kind of incentives can be given to the private sector so that they can invest more in the healthcare innovation space?
Correct. I think, Anupji, I'll completely agree with you. Government is doing. Uh, so as your first query was, and the response was, how do we boost R&D, right? And especially in industry, in our academic institutions. See, a real innovative country, what happens is innovation happens in all systems, in academic systems, in small startups, in SMEs, in big multinationals, and they talk to each other. There is licensing of technologies happening. All of that happens, right? And government has, as I said, in the last decade, has been doing amazing work. But what is also the continuing challenges? One challenge is people work in silos, right? How do you bridge that? How do you break barriers between all these institutions? And again, institutions and non-profit organizations like BFI play a critical role in breaking those silos and breaking those barriers and bringing different components of R&D system into one platform, right? And so that is one. And how do you said, how can government also help? In government is already doing that. More investment in R&D, really encouraging collaborations between different sectors, and this is has to be
Yes.
done in where all stakeholders come together, and this is where BFI is playing a role.
There is a voice lapse, I think.
Okay, I'm sorry. I think my
Uh,
connection is okay. Abhi, can you hear me now?
yes, yes, please go ahead. Please go ahead.
Yeah.
You can start from the beginning or you can start from here.
No. So one of the continuing challenges that we face as a growing country in R&D is that a lot of these systems where R&D happens, whether in academia or startups or SMEs or big industries, it is all siloed. So we need to break
Yes.
barriers to bring all of them together.
Mm.
And while government is doing amazing work, Blockchain for Impact BFI is going to complement these efforts. So, as I said, our Biome platform, the intention is to support, of course, the translation research, but also break barriers, bring them onto one platform. See, I believe that I keep on saying this, but innovation really is a contact sport, right? You have to bring different elements together for them to start identifying how they can work together. So collaboration only happens when you break those barriers. And we saw that again during the COVID times, how because there was a push to break those barriers, barriers were broken down, and we could do what we could do during the COVID.
India is said to be a startup capital of the world.
Hmm.
A lot of startups have been started in the last 3, 4 years. But some of these startups are also active in the healthcare space. However, the entrepreneurs often face the challenge of moving their product to the market implementation stage. So, how can these lab to market issues be resolved in the biomedical space?
This is a very nice question. Thank you for asking this. I've been involved in the Indian biotech startup scenario landscape for the last 15, 16 years. See, I think what we say in our phrase that a startup, any kind of startup, faces multiple valleys of death. Okay, and especially biomedical startups face, very deep valleys of death because the gestation period to bring a product to the market can be very long. It can be anywhere between 7 to 10 years, or even 5 to 7 years, right? So there is no patient capital, as in capital that is going to, wait for 7 years for the returns to happen. So again, this comes to what you nicely asked at the very start of this interaction: is how do you bridge each of these death valleys, right? So one death valley is to build a prototype. Next is build a minimal viable product. Then do validations. Then, of course, you have to go through, manufacturing and pilot testing, and finally to the market. Now, because biomedical is also, impinges on human and animal health, it is regulated very heavily, and so there's a challenge of capital, there is a challenge of regulation, and then finally, when you are ready, you do not know whether it will be adopted or not, right? So the challenge of markets. So each of these startup face, you know, all multiple challenges like this. What we have been thinking, when I say we as in BFI, is we are saying, fine, can we start looking at these multiple challenges? Let's look at the early stage challenge of prototyping. How do you build the initial proof of principle, proof of concept? And this is where we're working with the incubation centers across India. Uh, we are also thinking of long range translation. This is why we're working with research institutions at the early stage. As we move forward, we'll try to build programs that take care of other valleys of death as these startups face. And this is already being thought about by us. And hopefully, in this year and next year, we will be starting to roll out those programs.
Now, much of India, about 50% of the population, including the rich class and the educated middle class, they are still, for a significant part of their healthcare needs, focused on the traditional systems of healing. For instance, there is Ayurveda, there is Siddha, there is yoga, and others. So, how can blockchain and other emerging technologies be used for driving further innovation in these traditional areas? The government of India has started the Ministry of Ayush, which was not there earlier, and that has
Hmm.
a significant part of significant funding. I think about more than 10,000 CR. So, what can be done to, I mean, drive further innovation in these areas?
See, blockchain as a technology um, can really facilitate a lot of decision making in data, in medical records, in new forms of data that is coming out from our traditional systems also. And then, if you combine all of these, so finally, the traditional medical systems is being given a push through the ministries of Ayush, for example, right? And this is where I think we should have a definite conversation between how blockchain, like the Western medical system, it is impacting already in terms of medical record. See, medical records and the way to process that. It can happen at any hospital, whether it is a Western medical hospital or whether it is an Ayush hospital. Blockchain can play a role. That's not a problem, right? What we should be looking at how blockchain can start impacting traditional systems, as you said. And again, we have been starting to think about this, and because finally, healthcare has to be delivered to remotest parts of India, right? How do we do that using the technologies, including blockchain technologies, will be something that we will be looking into and coming with new programs on that. Let me also point that the blockchain community actually came together in during COVID times, and the BFI, for instance, provided to government of India, facilitated by UNICEF, close to $15 million to procure syringes for COVID vaccines, right? So, similar efforts to see where our intervention can help the IUS systems would be good. I think we would look into that.
And when we look at the emerging technology space in the biomedical area, so what are the groundbreaking innovations that we can expect in the near future in India?
Oh, this is already happening. I think we can see that AI and ML is impacting radiology, drug discovery, impacting clinical decisions. You can see that all of a sudden, the algorithms can see whether from the x-rays somebody has lung cancer or not, or TB, right? So those systems are already happening here. You can also see that precision medicine through next generation sequencing is able to really define what kind of medicines can be given to a particular patient, right? Robotics and robotic surgery will take off as well. And remember, we think about drone technology, but drone technology is not just for surveillance, but it can also be used to deliver medicine to remotest part.
I think they
Uh,
have done some experiments in that area.
yeah, yeah,
Yes,
that is
some
already
aids,
happening.
hospitals, and all that. They have been delivering this healthcare emergency products using.
Correct. Yes, absolutely. Yes. So that is already happening. So, telemedicine, drone technology, robotics, new diagnostics, new drug discovery using, faster drug discovery using AI ML. All of that have started to happen, and all of that R&D is starting to happen in India. And BFI is funding many of such technologies across India now.
For a diverse, densely populated, and developing country like India, healthcare is always going to be a very complicated issue. The legacy systems of healthcare are not sufficient to fulfill the healthcare needs of all. Perhaps the answer lies in the emerging technologies that you talked about, AI, blockchain. They can change the system.
Absolutely. I think, you know, we forget that the human power of ingenuity and creativity builds new technologies all the time. And, 40 years back, nobody would have thought the technology that we are talking about today would be there. Now, here is something I wanted to mention, I forgot. See, as I said, 40 years back, would you have heard of AI, ML, CRISPR, Cas? No, right? But they are today. But it is not that research in those fields only began yesterday.
Yeah, yeah.
Research, research has been happening for at least 20, 25, 30 years. So, and this is what I call long range science, or this is what we call as upstream research, right? And this is what right after pandemic, and during pandemic, as you know, BFI played a big role in India, including, as I said, providing $15 billion to procure syringes and through UNICEF, as well as surveillance, COVID surveillance, and many other pandemic relief work. Post COVID, we decided that, how do we make India stand on its own feet in terms of building these technologies that will be there in the next 10, 15 years, right? And this is where our founder and our CEO and our leadership and all of us thought that, can we start identifying places and research institutions where we can go and support uh, these upstream research, so that in the next few years, these technologies which have been supported in India come out as products commercialized and help Indian healthcare as well as global healthcare, right? And so this is the very foundation of what we are doing. That is one. Second, of course, there is current problems in public health. So BFI also works at grassroots levels in through its DFS, called District Full Stack Program, where it is working with communities and their health challenges, right? So, in my view, and BFI is one of a unique organization that looks from early stage research and innovation all the way to the other side of healthcare delivery at grassroots level, right? And all of a sudden, within last 2 years, the footprint has become all across India. And this is a very unique story, very powerful story. And I hope this inspires many more to first come and join hands with us, as well as maybe start new programs, and partner with us.
Thank you, Dr. Dash. Thank you for talking to us. Perhaps the answer lies in emerging technologies. Emerging technologies are already here. AI, ML, they are now fact of life. They are transforming every space, including healthcare. So we will see what kind of transformations come to the healthcare space in the next 5, 10 years.